Hey everybody, Mark Israel from Courtside, and this week we take you to Orlando, where we sit down with a guy by the name of Hank Waters, who built a high school called Southeastern Prep into a basketball powerhouse. Come check it out. All right, well, welcome back to Courtside and continue our conversation that we started a little earlier with Hank Waters. We talked about the fact that I met you a year or two ago when you were good enough to come and see your Orlando Magic play my Houston Rockets in Houston. I think I said earlier, I think we kicked your butt. So all's well that ended well. And you were really nice enough to bring me down here to Orlando and return the favor. So thanks so much. I'm looking forward to going to the game tonight.
It'll be great.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. But, you know, as we got to know each other, I learned that there's more to your story when it comes to hoops and stuff. And I want to talk a little bit about that. But let's just talk a little bit about, you know, so we're sitting today at Southeastern Preparatory Academy,
Yep.
right? Which is a school that I'm going to say you're involved in, and you can tell me more about it. Okay, you can tell me the involvement. But let's talk about how we got here, not the Uber that I took from the airport, but I mean, how you got here. And I think you told me that it really started with you know, becoming a fan of the Magic. So why don't you talk to me about that a little bit?
It definitely led in from that. So I've been a big Magic fan ever since I moved to Orlando, which is about 12 years ago. And was fortunate enough, nothing fortunate about COVID, but when COVID hit, some seats that I'd always wanted opened up. And there are two seats right beside the Magic bench, and then two seats right on the other side of the scores table because sponsors went away during COVID. And I had a great relationship with my ticket guy with the Magic, Giancarlo. Shout out to Giancarlo. And I'd told him for years, why don't the owners sell me two of those seats? I come to every game. I stay till the end of the game. I'm a real fan. Those seats sit empty a lot, and they did at the time.
What? Because it was like a sponsor. It was like some corporate.
It was corporate sponsors. So there are 8 tickets there between the Magic bench and the scores table, and the DeVos family, the owners of the Magic, had 4. And then there's the other 4 were sponsors.
Okay.
And the 4 sponsors went away. I took 2, and then a great family took the other 2. And the DeVos still have the other 4. But a lot of times back then, the DeVos family would hold the seats for VIPs or owners from other teams, executives from other teams. And a lot of times they would just sit empty, at least for part of the game. And I would be sitting at my courtside seats under the basket and like, I would love to be there.
Right. And they were sitting empty.
Give these seats to your friends and let me sit there where I'll actually be cheering for the team the whole time instead of players checking in for the game and walking by 8 empty seats. It just irritated me to no end that anybody would have those seats and not use them. So for years, I would tell Giancarlo, would you ask them? I mean, would they? And it was always the answer was, no, we're gonna hold on to the seats. So when COVID happened and the sponsors backed out, Giancarlo called me immediately because you got to answer me now because otherwise they're going to go to the pool and it'll go based on seniority and all this kind of stuff. And I said, no, I'll take them. So for the first year, still couldn't go to the games because they were within 6 feet of the players. And so the seats just sat empty. Of course, I didn't have to pay for them.
Right.
They sat empty. And then the next year, started using those seats right by the bench. And that's when Coach Mosley came in. And from the beginning, he was always very friendly to me. He would talk to me a little bit during the games, little snide comments, you know, just walking back and forth. And it was just an amazing experience. Like, I've been a sports fan since I was born. And to be able to sit by the team, have a relationship with the coach, see the players all the time, is amazing. But what really changed my experience is occasionally the Magic will take some fans onto a road trip with them. And you fly on the plane with the team. And I had a couple years in a row, I had tickets like that and got to know the people a little better. They got used to seeing me. A couple of the players would know me by name. But eventually one of the trips was over Super Bowl weekend and they did a square, totally legal, I'm sure. And they offered me to buy a square and I put my name on the thing. And now all the players, they figured out what my name was because I don't go out of my way to bother them. So it's, slap on the hand or great job or, tell the player that was a really great pass, something that doesn't show up in the box score or something. And then they knew my name. So the rest of that trip, that was Chicago, I'd walk through the hotel and all the players would be calling me by name. They never called me by name.
Never knew your name before.
They never called me by name before. And I'm like, this is odd. But from that day on, when they would come through for their warm-ups or do the starting things, that almost all the players would talk to me, hey, how you doing? And Cole Anthony was the best about it once we drafted Cole Anthony, which was the next year, because he played at UNC, which is what I love. And we'd go to the different events for fans and the players, and sometimes he would just come sit with my wife and I for the event, and we'd talk about UNC and how he ended up there. And his dad, Greg Anthony, ended up being very good friends with the current coach at UNC. And that's kind of how Hubert Davis, and that's how he kind of ended up there. And after that, he has a lot of friends on the team, so they would become more friendly with me. And I try to go to their charity events when they have them and help out if I can. And so I ended up having a personal relationship with a lot of the players. And 3 years ago, Anthony Black was our rookie. And got to know him like all the other players at different social events. They have an event at the beginning of the year at the team's hangar where Fields Motor Cars comes in and brings in the Lamborghinis and the Rolls Royces and the Bentleys, and they bring a few fans in and they make the rookies come. So there was only 3 players there that year, and it was him and Jed Howard and another player. And so I spent the time getting to know AB. And afterwards, I found out that AB had a little brother that was a 9th grader at Duncanville High School in Texas, which is probably the best public school team over the last 10 years. They won a couple of national titles. But he came and played Montverde, and as a freshman, he had 30-some points against the loaded Cooper Flagg, Derek Queen Montverde team.
Which is, I'm just so everybody knows, Montverde is here in Orlando too.
Montverde
Right?
is outside of Orlando. It's about 45 minutes from here. It's a little bit out in, I don't want to say the country, but outside of town.
And for a long time, we're going to talk about Southeastern Prep, but for a long time, Montverde has been a top basketball program.
Montverde has been the basketball.
I wasn't going to say it. I was going to let him say it. Okay.
Absolutely. We beat them by 22 this year.
There you go.
They've been the program in prep hoops for a while. I mean, Cade Cunningham. You could list the pros. It would take you a long time, but Cade Cunningham, Cooper Flagg, Derek Queen, Asa Newell, just recently, a lot of top players played at Montverde, and it's a beautiful campus. Great.
Okay, good. And now we'll talk bad about him later. And later we're going to talk about it. That's right. But no.
But anyways, I got to know Anthony a little bit, and I found out he had this kid brother, Beckham, who's just a prodigy, playing at Duncanville. And I sat by on a road trip in LA. I sat beside the bench on the end of the bench, opposite of where my seats normally are. And AB was sitting there and not getting in the game, and he was getting frustrated. He was a rookie. His playing time was sporadic as a rookie. He would do some good things, and he would sit. He'd do some bad things, and he'd sit. So I just told him basically, hey, you don't need advice from me, but keep your head up. You're 19 years old in the NBA, high draft pick. You got a bright future kind of thing. And I guess he told his mom about the conversation.
Nice.
So his mom searches me out on Facebook and says, I just want to tell you that as a parent of one of the players, I appreciate what you do for the players. Like, I don't really do a lot for the players. And I talk to them. I'm willing to talk to them anyways. But I asked her then, because I'd heard about Beckham, why is Beckham not at Montverde so you can have both your kids in the same town? But she's telling me she's flying back and forth from Dallas to Orlando to see AB play and to see Beckham play. And she said, well, don't think we haven't talked about it. And I was like, okay, I'll let it go. And every month or so, there'd be a little interaction. We had the playoff game in Cleveland where they put the T-shirts out for everybody.
Okay.
And I've bought the 2 seats beside the bench. Like, here's the bench and the 2 seats. And my T-shirt is not on my seat. And I get there and I'm looking around and I asked the security guy for the Magic, Marty, great guy, my T-shirt. He goes, I think AB took it. So when they come out there, I go, hey, did you take my shirt? And he goes, I'll get it back to you. And I go, you can keep it. It wasn't going to fit me anyways, but you took it. He goes, I'm trying to take one from every game, so I have them for
nice. Good.
And so I mentioned to Jennifer, I'd sent her a text, said, your son stole my shirt. And so we would, have little interactions like that. Next year comes back AB's, late that year. I'm at a game and I'm talking to Jeff Weltman, who's the president of the Magic, and AB's agent, who I don't know if he'd want me naming him or not, so I won't. But I bring up the same thing. I don't understand why Beckham is not at Montverde, so Jen doesn't have to fly all over the world. And the agent tells me, well, the agent's name's Justin. Justin tells me, he's never leaving Duncanville. His stepfather is the coach. And
Bam.
I'm like, oh, well, Jen never mentioned that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. And so it was his second year that this happened. So my head turned to, okay, he's never come to Montverde. He's playing at Duncanville. Duncanville just beat Montverde for a national title a year or so before. Duncanville's produced Anthony Black, lottery pick. The next year, Ron Holland, lottery pick. Coach's son, Micah Peavy, who plays for the New Orleans Pelicans, several other NBA players, tons of D1 players. It's a really successful program that's huge on basketball and football in the Dallas area.
And a public school.
Public school.
Which is incredible.
They won 2 national titles at a public school, which in today's environment is unheard of because you essentially can't recruit. And we'll talk about my school here in a little bit about what that looks like when you can recruit.
Got water right here if you need it. Yep.
So, shortly after that conversation with Jen and the agent about the dad being the coach, I started thinking, yeah, he's never coming to Orlando. She's just going to have to keep flying back and forth.
Right. You have to go back and forth to Dallas.
Yep. So
let's get you to wet your whistle, man. I don't know.
yeah, then
you got all chucked up talking about.
No, I'm getting emotional here.
That's
just kidding.
That's it.
So David, who was with us earlier, got approached by someone who needed money to help fund a private school here in Orlando, which is where we are right now.
Right. And this is a cool story. I'm going to add into it because David, who was here a few minutes ago, said he was at the gym, like working out, right?
He's working out.
And somebody approached him or he overheard.
I think the way I've heard the story is the founder of the school, Dominique Booker, was basically looking for someone in Genesis who had enough money to.
Genesis is a health club.
Genesis is an extremely nice health club owned by a great man named Rodney Stephen. And it's a big draw to our school to be right in the same building with Genesis. So David,
we're physically in the same, you'll explain, but we're physically in the same
building. So David works out here and she found him through a mutual friend of ours and asked him would he be interested in loaning money to the school or potentially investing in the school.
Because the school needed some money.
School needs some money. It was a grand plan by her that just had financial difficulties from time to time.
Could you back up that part of the story because you're now going to talk about the school. So explain when the school started and the grand plan or before, the couple of years before she met David and said, hey, would you loan us some money?
Yeah.
So go back there.
So what I know about it, and I wasn't here, is that Dominique wanted to open a private school that would benefit kids who couldn't normally afford private school. And that would be sports oriented, real school, but with real dedication to the sports programs. And she did that. And her son, Rylan, an excellent basketball player, was kind of the leader of the team, leader of the basketball. And she provided this educational opportunity for kids that couldn't afford it, but it led to some financial shortcomings. So she had reached out to David. David and I had become friendly from going to not just the Magic home games, but I would go to about 25 road games a year. David would go to several, and we would always be in the same towns. And my wife and his wife, Martha, became friends. And so we're friends regardless. We'd see each other a lot. And he said, I know you love basketball. Is this of interest to you? And I go, well, it's not of interest to me unless there's a real school. Because what you will find a lot in the prep community now is basketball programs that are attached to some school where the kids are never there. And there's a reason for that, and it's not necessarily a negative on those programs. But that was my statement. It has to be a real school. So we came and we met with her in the same room, and she had us convinced within a few minutes that it was a real school. So we both invested in the school. But my selfish thought at the time was, I bet I can get David Peavy, that's Anthony Black and Beckham Black's stepfather, to listen to me about coming here and being the coach, and we can skip this 5 or 6 year program of building a top program and just be a top program in year one.
But back up a second, man. You, up until that point, you were told that you're a lawyer, you are a hoops fan, right? What do you know about building a sports program, whether it's at the high school, college, or pro level?
Nothing. But I knew
that's what I thought. By the way, there's a
interest in it.
Right.
And I mean, so I'm fortunate enough, I have some interaction with the Magic front office with with John Hammond and Jeff Wellman. And I told John before, I will pay you to be the assistant to the assistant general manager. And John's exact words for me, I can think of no better candidate for the job than you, Hank. But I've always wanted to be involved. And I have opinions about things I know about and things I don't know about. So, no, my thought was, all I know about building a great basketball program is if I hire the right person to do it, he'll build the program. So to me, it was a one objective situation. Hire David Peavy, get him to leave Duncanville, where he's had all this success, 2 national titles, multiple state titles, NBA players, college players, and move to Orlando to a school that at the time nobody had really heard of, and build us a program.
And at the time, and again, I don't want to talk too much about Dominique, but she's running the school. The school had a basketball program, but was it a big program? Was it a well-known program? It was under the radar?
It wasn't a national program, but they had a good team. You know, she had put together people who had gotten together players that were really good for a local team, really good. And Rylan is certainly good enough to play for any national program, also her son. But yeah, it was not on a national level. We didn't have a national schedule. You know, they played local teams.
Right. You weren't on Montverd's level, no.
No, Montverde, yeah, no. Rylan could have played at Montverde. He was a very good player. He was a great kid, too. But my main goal was just, if I could hire David Peavy, I don't have to build this program. He's going to build the program.
Right.
So I'd already reached out to him through Jennifer, AB's and Beckham's mother, and asked, can you give me some pointers on how to run a great basketball program?
Did you really want the pointers, or you really want the David?
The coach.
Yeah, right.
But I needed to get the conversation started. And of course, he said yes. And then David, who was with us earlier, they were coming into town for AB, Miss Anthony Black's birthday. And that's when I was going to meet with him to talk about how to run a program. And David said, you need to tell him you're going to try to hire him so he's not sandbagged when he gets here. So I called him. It's either the night before they came or the night before that. And talking a bit, I said, I should tell you probably I'm going to try to hire you. And he said, I kind of thought that was coming. And I've heard great things about you, but that's going to be a hard no. He said, but I'm still willing to talk to you about how to run the program. So
did you take it as a hard no?
No, I'm pretty thick-headed. So I took it as, okay, there's going to be some convincing involved. So when he came into town, I had Mike Miller with me, who is Paolo Banchero and Wendell Carter's agent.
And was played for the Magic, right?
Played for the Magic, won a title with the Heat, Rookie of the Year. Right. Just a well-known NBA guy, good guy, a friend. I had him with me when we brought Coach Peavy and Jennifer in to look at the school. And they actually went to our auxiliary gym, which is nice, but it's not that impressive.
The main gym is right behind it.
The main gym is right.
I don't know if the camera can see that, but yeah.
And I would tell you that. So this whole facility used to be the NBA Magic's headquarters, the NBA Orlando Magic's headquarters. So the court behind us is a full NBA 94-foot court with NBA quality, backboards and everything. And so that was kind of a big draw. But he didn't really, I don't think he knew that at the time. So he went to the auxiliary gym and he was like, oh, Hank, I'm here. It looks pretty nice. I go, you're not here. I'm standing in the gym. Where are you? He goes, I'm in the gym. I go, what do you see? He goes, I see a bunch of old men playing volleyball. And I said, okay, well, you're in the auxiliary gym. I'm sending somebody to come get you. So we come over, we walk him in, we walk through the court, which is really impressive. It's a great setup. And Mike Miller's with me, and they know each other because Mike had tried to sign AB. They ended up going in a different direction, but the family knew Mike, and they were comfortable with Mike. They saw this, they came up, they saw that we have real classrooms and that it's a real school. It's not just a basketball factory. And then we walked out the front door, which is where you can oversee the Genesis Health Club, which is a world-class, super nice health club. Hockey rink, Olympic-size indoor pool, tennis court, all the stuff that an elite health club would have. And if you ever see David Peavy, I mean, he's a jacked dude. He's obviously spends time.
You've been to the gym once?
He was a little blown away by the fact that all our players get access to that full gym.
We walked through it when we came here today. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So within about 5 or 10 minutes, I feel somebody pull on my sleeve, and I look and he goes, okay, so it's not a hard no. I was like, all right. So we go to the Magic game that night. David and I are both members in the private club there called the Icon Lounge. So we get the family in, and we end up staying so late that valet has left our cars. So there's just one dude standing out there with the keys for mine and David's cars, and everything else is closed. But it was very clear in that meeting that Jennifer wanted to find a way to make this work. So those kids, not just for her convenience, but can you imagine being an elite 10th grade basketball player, nationally known, and your brother's in the NBA, but you never get to see him play maybe 2 or 3 games a year because you're in a different town. So I think she really wanted it for Beckham and for Anthony, for them to be able to continue being brothers, close brothers, and them both get the experience of AB coming to see Beckham play, and multiple Magic players have been to our games here. And Beckham to be able to spend time with Anthony, not just go to the games. But I could tell she wanted it to happen. But I knew it was a reach for him because his success at Duncanville is just legendary. And we had no track record really to speak of. So it was tough. So I spent the next 3 months recruiting him, just a quick call here and there. How are things going? How's your Duncanville team looking? I mean, he'll tell you that it was his least talented team ever at Duncanville, but they still ended up winning the state title. And I, after every playoff game, I'd kind of read the recap of the game and find something to send him a text about, hey, it looks like Deuce had a great game. That was one of the other players. Or nice comeback in the third period. And he would, every game he'd write me back, and every game he'd write me back a little bit more. So now we're actually having a conversation. And then they won the state title. They had to beat a very high-ranked team in the semifinal game, Allen, I believe. And then they won the state title, and I sent him the congratulations, and he wrote me back that night. And then the next morning, I think he sent me a text saying, okay, let's talk.
That's incredible.
So in a week or two, I got him back out here, signed him, negotiating, got him to come as coach, brought his assistant with him, CT, great coach, great guy. And a week or so later, I was at the Magic game, and Jeff Weltman, the president of the Magic's out there talking to me, and I said, because he's one of the ones who told me, you will never get David Peavy to come to that. And he's not the only one. David Farber told me, you will never get David Peavy to come to the school. And so I told him I got David Peavy, and he goes, oh, you got him to visit? And I go, no, he's my coach.
Wow.
He's here, and Beckham's coming with him. And Beckham is the best point guard in high school basketball. I tell scouts all the time, and college coaches, he's the most impactful player, not currently in the NBA. I'm not saying the most talented. There's some freak players out there. But in my mind, if you took all those players, trained them for 4 or 5 months, and put them on an NBA team, he would be the most impactful out of all.
What year is he in?
He's a junior.
He's a junior.
And he's ranked number 3 in the country. He is the best point guard in high school basketball. He's the guy. He's just, you meet people and you can tell it's not just he's a talented basketball player. He's a leader. He can communicate with adults, but still get the respect of his teammates and the kids. People love him. He has a huge social media following. I've twice been in airports with him where adults have asked for his autograph and to take selfies. That's when he was a 10th grader. He's the guy. So, and I told Peavy, you don't have to bring him. I'm hiring you. He goes, well, he's going wherever I go. I go, that's great. He's certainly welcome. But I would hire you even if he needed to stay in Texas for whatever reason. And so they came. Jeff Weltman didn't believe me first. I said, I'll send you a copy of the contract if you want. He's my coach. And I said, I told you I was going to get him. And I said something stupid to Jeff later. I said, and we're going to put together a roster that if we kept them together for 3 years would beat the Magic. And I don't think you regret that statement.
You regret that one a little bit?
But no, because I think now it's turned out, I think I might be right. Not the Magic, but I mean, I think if these kids stayed together till they were all NBA age, third or fourth year, they'd be a very competitive NBA team. We'll talk about the team in a little bit. But as soon as I hired Coach Peavy, he came down here. We would sit in this conference room every day.
By the way, somebody told me that it was in this conference room, because this used to be the Magic's offices, that when they signed when Shaq was the #1 draft pick, somebody told me that they signed him right here at this very positive, at this conference room table. That guy sitting right there told me. So it's on him that Shaq.
This was the brain trust for the Magic was in this room.
Pretty cool.
See, it's you can't see it from the camera, but there's little TVs all over the place. There's TV behind that wall. There was a smaller TV there. I put a big one in. But yeah, this was the Magic brain trust. This is where they would.
Shaq signed his contract right there. But okay, so all right, I took you off top. So you told Jeff there, we can beat you guys, and
So I have Peavy here, and we would, every day, we'd show up around 10, we'd sit at the table and talk about how we're going to build this team. What kind of players do we want? So we ended up bringing Beckham and 3 other kids from Texas, Aiden Gross, Kellen Cantrell, and Maury Wesley, that play on the same AAU team as Beckham in Texas.
Okay, place me in time where we're at. What year is this? What month is September 25?
No, this is April 25.
25. April 25.
9 months ago.
Okay.
So we started talking about how to build out the rest of the team. These are 3 really good players and good people from good families that we thought would really help.
Again, I'm just gonna keep nudging you and poking you and saying this. What do you know about building out a basketball team?
I know nothing about building out a basketball team, but I knew that hiring the right head coach would let me jump a lot of steps in building the program, and then having the belief in the coach to let him build the program and me just help however I could was the way to go. I don't have the ego that wants me to have credit for anything, and I shouldn't have credit for anything other than hiring him and letting him do what he knew how to do. So we started immediately. We had a top 10 recruit come in. We're sitting here at the table with him. The dad looks disinterested at the beginning. He's on his phone. The player's great. And Peavy just looks at him. He goes, well, if you want to come here, you need to know playing for me is hard. You're going to have to work your ass off. I'm going to be working to make you better every day. If I quit yelling at you, then no, I've given up on you. Because you will never be the perfect player, that I will try to get you better every day. And all of a sudden, the dad puts his phone down and he's zoned in on Peavy, and he goes, that's exactly what we need to hear. So we're going back and forth. And eventually I asked the dad, I go, because the kid can go anywhere. And he ends up going to Montford. I said, why are you here? And he goes, I want Lincoln to play with Beckham. I wasn't going to say the kid's name, but I already did now. So, and we love the family, the whole family in Lincoln. And I think had we been part of the Nike EYBL Scholastic League, which is the top league in high school basketball, I think they would have just committed right then. But Nike has a strong pull on a lot of the players, and EYBL Scholastic is a great league, and we will be in it next year. So we had no history last year. So I wouldn't say they strung us along, but they kept saying, if we add a team, it's probably going to be you. If we add a team, it's probably going to be you. Because they knew we had Beckham, but Beckham was the only highly rated player we had at the time. So Beckham is playing for Team USA, tryouts in Colorado Springs, and then they played in Mexico. They went undefeated, won the America's title for the U16, whatever it was. And he played with other great players from around the country. And multiple players there reach out to Beckham, because what's beautiful about Beckham's game is he's a pass-first point guard who's such a good scorer that they don't leave him alone. So he's getting double teamed, and he's still fucking playing. And even you find that's rare in all-star type settings and camps like this, because everybody's trying to prove they are. And Beckham already knows who he is, and he's passing to everybody. So multiple players at those tryouts were like, where are you playing next year? Because nobody had heard of Southeastern Prep. And one of those players was CJ Rosser, who's the #1 junior in the country. And CJ is from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, so I had wanted him all along.
That's where you grew up, right?
I grew up in North Carolina. Right. And so I would watch his film almost every day, different games of his from his high school career. And it was very clear that, he probably had very good coaching and was very happy at his high school, but he wasn't getting the daily competition that he needed to get to the next level. And so we slowly started talking to CJ and CJ's parents, who are awesome. Stacy actually works here in the school and has been a tremendous resource. She moved down here with CJ. Right. I skipped a whole lot of steps there. We got CJ. It was not easy. Wow. Everyone wanted CJ. I screwed up the meeting with CJ because I had some bad information from someone. So I almost lost him during the meeting. I think before that, Coach Peavy loved having me in the meetings because he thought I was doing a really good job of expressing my passion for the school and the team and what our vision was. But after that day, I thought he was going to lock me out of the room because I really screwed that up. But I'm a very genuine person, I think. And I think even if I'm not a genuine person, people feel like I'm a genuine person.
Yeah, I think you're pretty genuine.
So I kept talking to her. I knew I'd said something she didn't like. I didn't know how much she didn't like it because eventually she told me, no, we crossed you off the list. After that meeting, And I go, okay. But as we kept talking, I think she really started to believe in me. She did love the idea of CJ playing with a great point guard because bigs, they need somebody to get them the ball.
Right.
And while CJ's not a traditional big, to me, he's Kevin Garnett, but better.
Wow.
And we hear from a lot of college coaches and scouts that CJ could have a Wemby type effect in the NBA. And he can shoot from everywhere. The rest of his game is coming into shape. He just, I'm not going to say which college, but if there's 4 blue bloods, you know who they are. One of those told me, we love all your kids, but take all of them.
Right.
CJ's going to be super special. And you hear that from a lot of different coaches. And you see it. I mean, because one of the great things about having this program here is for the first 2 months, I watch practice every day.
It's right behind us, right?
Yeah, right behind us. And, we have great players playing against great players. It's better than almost any game you can go to when they actually get serious about a scrimmage. But we did eventually get CJ. I went to watch him play in Peach Jam in Atlanta, make sure his mom saw me there, talked to her there. But while we were there, we heard he had chosen another school. So I went and get my dad. And my dad's 83 years old. He's there in Peach Jam sitting in the wooden bleachers, watching these high school kids play. And I go, okay, we're going home. And he goes, well, I goes, CJ decided to go to the school that I thought he was going to go to. And we leave. And I'm in the car on the way back to Florida. And I get a phone call from the coach. Hey, the information we got was bad.
Oh.
He said, I just talked to the coach from that school and congratulated him, and he didn't know what I was talking about.
Wow. So he wasn't going.
You're not committed to them.
Okay.
So we kept the communications with Stacy and Clarence, his parents, and CJ. And eventually, he and the number 1 center in the country, Obinna Ekezie, who had played at Prolific Prep, which is a great basketball program, the previous year, and who we had not even reached out to or even thought about. One, he wasn't on Team USA because he's from Nigeria, and he was at Prolific Prep. So we're not looking to poach players from other schools, especially when nobody knows who we are.
Right.
But one day, I get a call from an agent asking me, and from Jalen Suggs' dad. Jalen is involved with the program. His dad is very involved with the program. His sisters both went to school here. One is still here. One is playing basketball at Robert Morris. Jalen comes to some of the games. When it's hard to get him at the games because it's, either if they're in town, there's a good chance they're playing a game, and otherwise they're on the road. But we've had Jalen and Anthony Black and Jace Richardson, whose brother also plays on the team, show up for 2 or 3 games. They're sit in the corner with the kids, and it's an amazing experience for them. But I get this call from this agent and from Larry Suggs saying, hey, can Obinna work out at the gym? So our gym is awesome. So multiple NBA players come here in the off season. Magic players come here in the off season when they don't want to be around the Magic trainers and everybody. They want their own time. So probably had 20 different NBA players here during the off season this year. So it wasn't unusual that somebody would call and say, hey, can we get some gym time? And he said, can Obinna come work out? And I go, Obinna Ekezie? And because he's supposed to be in California. That's where Prolific was until they moved to Florida this year. And he goes, yeah. And I go, sure. I'm being nonchalant. And I'm meeting Jen Black. So we bought a mansion for the national team players to live in.
Wait. You bought a mansion for the national? Okay, explain that to me.
So looking for, one, how to give them a great experience, and also a little bit of a recruiting tool. And I saw this house that is 8-bedroom, 8-bath house, beautiful pool, 4 acres. I mean, nice setup. Only 10 minutes from campus. So I end up buying the house and having the players live there. And Jennifer and I were there kind of getting the house ready, looking at, okay, where are we going to put the different kids? Because we have 2 adults live in the house with them, 2 of the assistant coaches on the ground floor, and then the players are on the second floor, and then there's a guest house. And we're doing all this, and Jen has found time to help me with this. I'm appreciative that she's there, but I walk in and I say, Jen, I'm going. I'm headed to the gym. There's a player that's going to be there, and I'll talk to you later. And she's like, no, go do what you got to do. So I'm calling coach on the way. Where are you? He was 10 minutes away. I said, get to the school. And he gets there. We walk in, and there's this giant kid. He's now 7 foot barefoot.
Wow.
Almost 7'2" in shoes. His dad, Obinna Ekezie, played for Maryland, was a very solid ACC player, played in the NBA, played overseas. His dad's here with him. His dad is 6'10". Don't be mad, Obinna. I'm guessing 300 something. I don't know.
Big guy.
Wide. His arms are like this. And I just walk up to him and I say, "Hi, I'm Hank. Glad you're here." Whatever. He goes, "Where are you going to school next year?" It's the first question I asked him. "Why year?" He goes, "We're not sure yet." I go, "Well, okay." Let me, and Peavy walks up. He goes, "Well, we would love to have your son." And Obinna said, "So would everybody else." And so we're like, "Okay, we'll see where this is going to go." And then Obi, the kid, comes over and he goes, "Dad, this is the school I was telling you about." Because Obi's agent and BJ Armstrong and some other guys had tried to buy the school the year before. And it didn't work out for whatever reason. But Obi had been part of that discussion as far as somebody had shown him the videos of this school they were going to buy, and they were going to bring all that agency's top kids to go to school here and to play here. So he's like, "This is the school, Dad." And so Obinna got real interested, and I think I'm very fortunate about this. Obinna and I, the father, get along really well. I think we see things very similarly about life and about basketball, and we become partners in a venture, and we just built on that relationship. And this was all at the same time that we're trying to recruit CJ. So, and they both want to come basically if the other comes. Because CJ's 6'10". He is not a center, does not want to be a center. He wanted to know we had a center. So we weren't going to promise him, "You're going to be out on the wing," and then him end up in the middle. And Obinna is the center. He's the best center in high school basketball. I don't want to take bets on anything, but I would say one of our 3 juniors will be the first pick in the draft in 2 years. Wow. And I don't know from day to day. It just depends on who's drafting and what they need. But Obinna is an NBA center who just turned 17. He's got a nice frame. He's not thin. He's not heavy. Like I said, 7'1". He's been trained by an NBA center his whole life. Great kid, great student. Can jump like he's a Michael Jordan type athlete. A lot of center. I haven't seen him doing yet. I believe he can touch the top of the backboard. I know he has no trouble dunking, looking down at the rim. And so we got them both at the same time within a week or so. So now we have, at the time in the rankings, we have a top 20 player in Beckham who was around 19th at the time. He's now number 3. Obi, who was anywhere from 2 to 5, and CJ, who was anywhere from 2 to 5 in the junior class rankings. So now we've built the right team, not just 3 superstars, but the different parts of the game: a point guard, a center, and a big wing who can do everything.
All in a few months' time.
All in 2.5 months' time. And our other players are very good. Mari Wesley is a great player. He's been injured a lot this year, but he's been in the top 100 all year as a junior. And we had some games where we had to play where Beckham and CJ and another our player, Griffin, were gone for USA minicamp. And we still had to play games. So it was, the other players. Obi was there, but Mari, and we dominated. Really good team.
Wow, even with some of the better players.
Even with what people would say 2 of the best players in the country and another very good player not available. Because Mari is a dog. I mean, that term probably gets used too much, but whoever made up that term, they were thinking about Mari. Mari's the guy, but he's got some injuries right now. But so we had good players in addition to the 3. So we thought we'd be fine with Beckham and the players we had, and we'd compete. But with Obi and CJ, it became like I told Jeff Weltman, they're not allowed to come watch our guys play because they're not draft eligible, but they're draft level prospects. So they can't come in the gym. But he told me, we know the names already. Those guys
they're on the radar.
You have to let me know when you're in tournaments that are sanctioned that I can go.
That he can go to, right?
So I can see the guys. So I started bringing the guys occasionally to the Magic games. So in my seats that I'm talking about that are right beside the bench. So I bring Obi to a game, and Obi is, like I said, 7 foot in shoe and barefoot. And Goga Batadze is 7 foot. And he walks over and he looks up at Obi.
Wow.
And he goes, "You're taller than me." And at the time, Obi was 16. He had not had his 17th birthday.
Wow.
And I go, and he's very skilled, Goga. And then I saw Goga at an event 3 days later, and AB's there as well. And we're talking about Obi, and Goga goes, "Well, is he more skilled than me?" And I just turned and left the conversation. I love Goga, but Obi hits 3s for us. Obi drives to the basket. Obi blocks everything in sight. Obi is tremendous. So that's good enough, right? We've got 3 top 5.
I mean, what more do you want, man? That's
we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll for the season. And then the Magic draft, Jace Richardson out of Michigan State,
whose father also played in the NBA.
And for Magic, won 2 slam dunk championships. Jason Richardson Well, I love Jace, great kid. Best thing about Jace is he's got a younger brother named Jackson. And Jackson is a senior in high school. And he's been playing at Columbus, who won the national title the year before with the Boozer twins, who are now at Duke.
Okay.
And again, same thing. Mom is like, well, if we could have them in the same town, that would be
nice.
even better.
Keep the family together.
We don't have to recruit Jackson. He reaches out to Beckham and maybe some of the other players and is like, hey, what's the situation? And you're like, well, we'd love to have you. But we had never thought about even trying to reach out to him even once Jace got drafted. So that all takes about a week to transpire that now we know Jackson's coming. And I would tell anyone watching, get on Instagram or YouTube and search Jackson Richardson. He is the best dunker, I think, period. I'm not going to put a class level or a college or NBA level on it. Even Jace was at a home game here 3 days before he went to LA for the dunk contest.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Jackson was going off. And I walked over to Jace and I said, you're the one in the dunk contest? And he goes, yeah, I should just give him my jersey. Because Jackson is 6'6". Jace is 6'6'1".
Right.
And Jackson's hops are just crazy. But I would encourage you, go look him up, look at the dunks he's had in games, not warm-up dunks. You know, he does the east side or whatever they call it. And he catches, reverses as he's flying by the rim and slams. He's amazing, an amazing athlete, great player. So he comes, he joins us. He's 11th ranked in the country in the senior class.
Wow.
At the time. So now we have, 4 players that look like future NBA players. And the school didn't have a national team the year before. So fortunately, Scholastic wouldn't take us because we had no history. So we ended up playing on the grind session, which ended up being
Back up because I don't know what Scholastic is. I don't know what the grind session. Explain what those
Scholastic is the best. They hold themselves out as the best prep basketball program in the country.
And why won't they?
16 teams.
And why won't they let you in it?
Because the teams that are in there have reputations and history.
Okay, and you don't have that.
And we didn't have that. But they kept talking to us. If we have a spot, you're the team, you're the team, you're the team. But we only had Beckham as far as the top-rated player at the time. By the time we had CJ and Obi lined up, they were full. They still invited us to a lot of their events. They want our players at their events, and they've already brought us in for next year. But we felt like what we really needed was a national schedule to attract these kids. So Grind Session, which is a great organization, had been after us all along. And we ended up signing with Grind Session for the year. And they covered a lot of the costs for our teams to play in these tournaments. We started the year in Italy for a week with the players. We were going to Jamaica the next weekend, but the hurricane hit. The next weekend, we're in Toronto. We've been to Los Angeles and Napa Valley, Chicago. They're in Philadelphia right now, Washington, D.C. 2 different trips to the Dallas area, 2 or 3 trips to South Florida, Kentucky. Every weekend they're traveling somewhere, which, on a related note, has really cut down on my Magic Road game. And some of my Magic Home games, because I generally go wherever the high school team is going. And I didn't think anything would ever pull me away from certain Magic games. I had people reaching out to me on different Magic fan groups asking if I was okay.
Are you all right?
I've been to a couple of games.
We haven't seen you.
And I was like, yeah, I'm just with the high school. But so everything is moving forward, right? We've got the good players. We've got the great coach. We get into the season. We're winning every game handily while we're healthy. Obi separates his shoulder blocking shot against Montverde, who we beat by 22 or 21. And now Montverde's ranked 1st or 2nd in the country. We would love to play them again. Hopefully we see them in the Chipotle National Finals. But he separates his shoulder and he misses 2 months. We lose some games during that time. Some really good teams. Columbus, who had won the national title the year before, beat us on a last-second tip-in by Caleb Gaskins, who's a great player, going to Miami next year. We lose some other games that, everybody has injuries. Maybe they had injuries too. Now we're finally pretty much healthy again. And then Jackson turned his ankle in our last game. But no complaints. We have great players. But a month ago, Tony Bryant, the top 10 player in the senior class and committed to Missouri, his high school kind of implodes. And so start getting calls. Players get calls directly from Tony. I get calls from Tony's agent from Mizzou. Can Tony come play with you guys?
Wow.
So Tony comes. 3 weeks later, Tony and Jackson are both announced as McDonald's All-Americans. So now we have the 3 best players in the junior class and 2 McDonald's All-Americans. And it feels like it's getting a little ridiculous. And, first people think, are there enough basketballs to keep everybody happy? But these kids are amazing as people, too. Like Tony Bryant could be scoring 25 or 30 at most of the other prep schools. Beckham could score 25 or 30. Obi could score 25 or 30. CJ sometimes does score 25 or 30. But they all gel together. And we don't get jealousy amongst the players.
They all live in this house together?
So not all of them, because Obi's whole family moved here. So he has a house and he stays with his family. His sister, Princess, is an 8th grader who is a very good basketball player. And when people like joke with her and say, you might be better than Obi, well, she, no, I'm definitely going to be better than Obi. You're good.
She plays.
Yeah. And we beat Montverd's girls team, who's also very highly ranked, a week and a half ago. And she played meaningful minutes in that game as an 8th grader.
So, and by the way, talk to me, we've been talking a lot about the boys' hoops teams, but let's go back. How many kids in the school? A couple hundred?
Right around 200 in this.
Okay. And you have elite baseball teams, basketball,
Girls basketball, boys basketball,
volleyball. Okay. So speak to me. So it's not just, we're talking because we're both hoops fans and because it's an exciting kind of part of what you do, but there's a lot. There's the girls teams. Girls
team is exceptional. Our coach, Kim Davis-Powell, is a fantastic coach. She runs one of the best AAU programs in the country. And with no lead up, she brought in a very good group of players. Our point guard injured her knee at the very beginning of the year. She's a 9th grader. She's fantastic, but she has not been able to play all year. But we have a really good girls program. We have 2 teams, a national team and what we call a varsity team. And they've both gotten so much better during the year. We have multiple girls on the team who are coming back next year who have D1 scholarship offers already.
Amazing. I saw guys all dressed up in baseball uniforms. They were going to a game.
Baseball team that's very good. Put a lot of kids into college every year. Jose Figueroa is our coach, and he does an amazing job. Our girls volleyball team is more in the beginning stages, but we do have one player that's going to college next year on a full scholarship from the volleyball team, and a lot of good players who are still here, younger players. And we're building the volleyball program. We have a fledgling soccer program, about a soccer team. We're starting to bring in some younger players and get them trained. And then either next year or the year after, actually have teams that compete regionally.
And I want to use that to pull back to something that you and I talked about before we went on the air. And I think you said it. You said, I'm not doing this if the academics are not real, right? I'm only doing this if the academics are real. So we've spent a lot of time, in the last 45 minutes talking about a few guys, a handful, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, we don't know, who may go on to the NBA and have big careers, make a lot of money. You and I both know that the vast majority of high school athletes, whether it's in basketball, baseball, volleyball, whatever, are not going to go to some professional league and make millions of dollars. But sports are going to give them the opportunity to go to college, right? And they're going to go to college, and then they can use that college degree to get to where they want to get to in life. So talk to me a little bit. So here you are, this lawyer / hoops fan, courtside guy. You're running a school. Talk to me a little bit about the academics and how involved you are in that.
Sure. So Dominique, who founded the school, is an educator. That's what she is. So it is a real school. That's what I needed to see at first. I needed to walk in, see classrooms, see teachers, see students, not just basketball players. And of course, it's not just basketball players, as you mentioned. So we have 7 boys basketball teams, 2 girls basketball teams, volleyball, baseball. There are a lot of students here, but they all do play sports. There's probably a very small number of students here who are not actively playing a sport. But for me, it had to be a real academic institution. And it is. And that's Dominique created that. As with any fledgling program like this, there's not always the finances needed to do everything the way you want to do them right away. So we're working now to continuously improve the academics until we have an elite academic institution with elite athletic programs with it. And we're going to get there. We have a lot of very dedicated teachers who do an amazing job and have really stuck with the school when they had other options. So we'll have a lot more AP classes next year, college placement classes. We'll be an international baccalaureate school the following year.
Explain why that's important. Explain why the international baccalaureate is important to the school academically, but also important to the school to be able to recruit, players internationally, right?
It's probably a bigger deal for our regular student body because now we do have international students. We have about 40 of them this year. We'll continue to increase that number as we move forward. International baccalaureate programs, diplomas, make it a lot easier to bring over international students because let's say they're coming for the U.S. experience, but they're not going to stay here for all of high school. So they come here for 10th grade and then they go back to Brazil or China or Denmark or wherever. If it's an IB school, it's very easy for them to transfer those courses they took here back to their home country. You can do it without the IB, but it's a question a lot of top families ask. Are you IB? If he doesn't stay to graduate and he comes back here, did we just waste a year and not get the credits? And we haven't had that problem yet where they don't get the credits, but IB makes it a lot cleaner.
And I'm guessing, you obviously have a principal. So it's K through 12, right? It
is K through 12, but it's highly linked.
Okay, so
Most of our student body.
So not the 12, you have a principal, and are you involved working with the principal? Are you involved in the academics?
I'm involved. I won't take any credit for it, but I'm involved. Rose Victor is our principal, and she basically handles the academics. I meet with her 3 or 4 times a week, mainly to tell her she's doing a great job, and I'm not telling her what to do. So I'm here, I'm available. I'm not really directing what she does. I'm trying to support her in making the school what it can be, which is her goal as well. And same with all the teachers here. I don't get any credit for anything they're doing, and I shouldn't get any credit for it. But I am here to talk to them, to try to give support when I can. And they do an amazing job, and we will be an excellent academic institution. But that's what helps us bring international students. And that can include some players. We do have a lot of international players here, but not on our national team. We could in the future. And the IB does make that a lot easier. It's probably not as big a deal with like the elite international players because most of them know they're not going home. They're going somewhere for 9 months for college and you're going pro. But yeah, the academics was always important to me. It had to be real. There are a lot of basketball programs that don't have an academic program where everything is handled at another school through online courses or whatever. And I used to frown on that. And I'll tell you that's changed a little bit for me because I see the demand that's put on these players when they're traveling every week. I mean, our players are gone almost every Thursday through Monday throughout the school year. We have a teacher go with them and have study halls with them on the road, but it is so much more involved than I thought it was when you're on this top national level with the team. These kids they might have 2 full days every week where they're actually at school once the season starts. Now, before the season, they're in class every day and all that. But once the season started, I mean, like this week, today, they left for Philadelphia today. They'll be back Monday. But they weren't in school today. They wouldn't have been in school tomorrow. And Monday, they'll be as tired as they could possibly be. So over the weekend, they'll be doing school in Philadelphia with the teacher that we sent with them. So I did frown on the programs that just had like online programs and things, but I have a different opinion.
You see
see why they do it. Although I think it's a big deal that they are actually in a school with other students, that that's part of student life. And because exactly what you said earlier, let's say there's a program that has 4 future NBA players. Well, that means they have 8 non-future NBA players. And those kids are not having any school experience, maybe in some situations. We have all our kids will get scholarships on our national team. They'll go to D1 schools, most likely, maybe 1 or 2 will choose to go to a better situation that's not D1 for them. But they'll all have college for free. But maybe, on the outside, maybe 6 of them are NBA type players. So 6 are not.
Right. And then the vast majority of the 200 kids here, or you said 200-ish, right? They're all going to go to college. Or
we have a second. We called it a regional team early in the year. Now it's more of a second national team. We have multiple D1 athletes on that team. But all the kids there will probably have the opportunity to continue their basketball careers beyond high school. And hopefully most, if not all, will be with a free education.
Yeah. And we walked, my daughter and I walked around with your video guy before we got here. It's a real school. I mean, there's classrooms, there's teachers, and everybody's eating pizza downstairs, in the cafeteria. Doesn't look like the school I went to when I grew up, but this is a real school, right? And yes, everybody here is an athlete, but everybody here is a student first. It was pretty impressive, and I think we're going to walk around afterwards and sort of and do a little tour. So you're, the wild thing about it is, to me, man, is that again, you're a guy, you're a fan, you're really running, in large part running this school, and I mean, did you ever envision yourself being here?
No.
I mean, you told me you guys loaned the school some money. I mean, you just loaned it.
That's how we got started. We loaned some money and loaned a lot more since then. And it's still a struggle. Unless you want to invest in this school, I do not encourage you to invest in a fledgling private school. It is a very expensive proposition. And there's always something. So when we do the budget, you're thinking about payroll and rent and things like that. But then there's so much more that comes up every week. Like, I didn't even think about having a bill for that. And curriculum. I didn't even think about having a bill for curriculum.
No, there was such a thing.
I didn't know anything about it. And so it is a challenge, but when people ask, I tell them I love it. I mean, I used to, as a lawyer, I did well. And now I'm spending a lot of money every week to work here much harder. But I love it. It gives me a purpose that I don't think I've had since law school. I think when I got to law school, I don't know what your experience was, but when I got there, I fell in love with it. I loved the interaction with the other students, interaction with the teachers. Most of the things we were learning, I really loved it. The outside activities I had, like the moot court and things like that, I really enjoyed my 3 years of law school. And I didn't hate practicing law. There were definitely a lot of great days that I really enjoyed, but this feels better and is more rewarding than any of that.
Incredible. And as you sit here today, if I said to you, what is your goal for the school 3 years out, 5 years out? What is your vision?
So the vision is I'm going to go with 3 years. During the next 3 years, to do everything we can in this building to have a great academic institution and a steady athletic program that just continues to build on itself. Probably the eventual goal is to move to an actual piece of real estate where we build our own school, have room for our own dorms. Our biggest challenge right now is where do we house all these international students?
Right. Where do you house them? I mean, you have one mansion, but that's not enough.
There's a house and some apartments, 10 apartments where we keep kids, where they stay, and they're all within walking distance of the school. So it works out, but it's a big challenge to deal with. 10 different apartments. There's a third floor here that's vacant that the city has said we can house kids on, but the landlord is not so sure he wants a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds living in the building. So we're working on that. And he's been great to work with. So hopefully we can make that happen. If we can do that, we can take the school to a whole nother level because it'll be a very nice dorm situation on the third floor. They'll be in the building with us. It's a lot easier to make sure they're taken care of properly and that they're not getting in trouble. Because I'll promise you, you might think your 17-year-old is the best 17-year-old in the world. Let them come live with 50 other 17-year-olds. You'll find out how clever your kid is as to what kind of trouble he can get into.
I have 5 kids myself, ranged now from 18 to 30, and they were all 17, and they all were and are amazing kids. But there's some chemistry when 17-year-olds get together, and they can get themselves into a whole heck of a lot of trouble.
Yep. And we haven't had bad, problems, but it would be a much better experience to have them in the building. It would give them 24/7 access to the gym.
Right.
And to we have a recovery room too that probably no other high school in the country has. That's just for our students.
Is that because this was the Legacy Magic's facility, or is it because this health club is so great, or it's because what you guys built out, or is there a little bit of
the recovery room is because I bought the equipment to put into the recovery room.
All right.
So we have cryogenics, we have hyperbaric chamber, we have the red light sauna bed, and then in the club we have access to cold plunges and saunas and hot tubs and all that stuff. But the players love it. I mean, you have to take a sign-up sheet to get in a hyperbaric chamber now because everybody wants to get into the hyperbaric chamber. I bought it and I still haven't been in there yet. I'm going to start coming late at night and using it. And we have an amazing trainer named John Hart who is just fantastic with our players. But, we have those things here. And we have some more space here we can grow into. But yeah, my goal for the next 3 years is to see what we can accomplish here. And it might be that it's so good here that we don't want to build our own school, or we build our own school, but it's not to replace this one. It's a secondary school, another school, not a secondary school, another venture that maybe has more of the field sports. Like now baseball has to travel to practice.
Okay.
If we had our own, we'd have our own baseball fields, our own soccer fields. And I love football. It's a huge undertaking on the prep level because of the number of players, coaches involved. But, maybe we could do that if we had the right piece of land, and we would have our own dorms. So, and there's some people I'm talking to about joint ventures to do that either here or in South Florida. That would be a long-term goal. When we got involved, the long-term goals run this, show that it's profitable, build up the reputation. Because as you might imagine, when we first started the school, started our involvement, pretty hard to get advertisers because they didn't know who we were.
Right. Who are you guys?
Now we have people calling us, hey, can we get a banner? But what can we do? Because, that's just going to grow over the next few months. The good thing is that part of, David and I's involvement with the Magic and me, because I talk so much, is that the people in that private club know about the team. So we have fans now that have donated money to the school and come to our games. Like actually take time out of their schedules to come to almost every game. Shout out to Don and Kim and Wendy and Tasha and Carolyn and others that they show up. They're like our biggest fan.
Incredible.
Because they're Magic fans and they see the passion I think that I have for it, but they've donated money. They're helping us with our website. They've just been very supportive, and that just continues to grow. Like I don't mind talking to everybody, but I don't really like asking for things from people. But every game when I'm in the Icon Club, almost someone will come up to me and say, hey, how can I help? How can I get involved? And so I think our financial problems will eventually ease, but just the support means more than the money. The fact that they show up, I invite them, they're here, cheering on our team. They know our players. They talk to the coach. They talk to the parents of the other players. It's kind of it is a family environment here. It just happens to be a family with some really top-notch players who are going to be famous.
Yes.
They're going to be famous in 3 years. Our idea all along is we're collecting a lot of footage, and we want to release a documentary on the night of their draft with 3 juniors, because I firmly believe, and I would take odds on this, that Beckham, CJ, and Obi will all be top 6 picks.
That's incredible.
And Montverde's had some crazy years where they've had multiple first-round picks, but nobody's had multiple top 5, top 6 picks. And I think we'll do it. I don't know which order they'll go in. And I've told all 3 of them, I better get an invite to the green room. And all of them have said, you definitely do, but we'll see when it happens. And that's kind of been like, if you lay up at night and you're thinking about your problems and you get things, I picture that night a lot. Those 3 kids, making their way into the NBA at the same time after spending the last 2.5 years together, growing as a team, growing as friends. It really is exciting. It's exciting.
It's also, that moment as you're sort of envisioning it a couple of years out is really also the culmination, or at least a checkpoint of your vision, right? Your vision, which started as a little kid who liked basketball growing up in North Carolina, and you told me you're a Phil Ford fan, and then you wound up here in Orlando, and you become a Magic fan, and just because somebody asked you to lend them a few dollars, all of a sudden you're running a program, and that is and will be an amazing moment for you. And based on what I'm hearing you say, it's just going to be a stepping stone, because there'll be other great moments to come. But
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me the other day, somebody who's important to the whole operation here, Hank, what's your goal? Do you want to have a basketball program that produces NBA players, or do you want to have a school? What do you mean, or? It has to be both. It can't be one or the other. So I'll also be proud when we have our IB certification and we start getting really elite international students picking the school to come to when they could go to ING or Montverde or the other big prep schools around the country. And they're choosing to come here because they want to be around these players in this environment, because our home games are crazy with our students and everybody else. But their parents want to make sure they're getting the education that lets them stay in the U.S. and go to Harvard Cornell, Princeton, Stanford, Northwestern, Duke. And we're going to get there. That'll be a really proud moment too, when we start having regular students every year getting academic scholarships to the top schools in the country. That'll mean as much to me as their draft night. Their draft night right now is more tangible because I know when that's going to be. And I spend a lot of time with these kids and love these kids. So it'll be a happiness for them as well as the culmination of what David Peavy and I have tried to do here with the basketball program. But yeah, the academics will be equally as rewarding as time goes on.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I appreciate you sitting down here and sharing your vision with us, and I see why, why everybody jumps on board with you. Your passion is infectious, and it's obvious that you have a passion and a dream, and you've sort of poured it all into it. And maybe we'll come back every year and see how it's going.
Come back anytime. I do want to say this. I need to thank the Magic players because multiple players have donated money. 2 of the players are paying for our bleachers, which will go in between the seasons. Like I said, those 3 have showed up for games. Others have showed up just to show up. And if I need something, I don't ask them for money, but if I need somebody to come talk to the kids or something, I know that there are players on the Magic I can reach out to do that. And that gives us, I don't see it as a recruiting advantage, but it is.
Sure.
Because, when Obi goes to the game, every player on the Magic talks to Obi. Yeah. I took CJ to a game, same thing. I introduced him to the players and to the owners of the Magic. And everybody is so nice to the program in general and to the players that it's not me, it's everybody else being super nice. And Obi doesn't care if I'm nice to him, but when Paolo walks up and talks to him, or Franz walks up and talks to him, or Jalen comes and hugs him because he already knows Jalen, or AB comes and hugs him and talks to him because they're friends now, it just gives us both credibility and it makes these kids smile. So, and everybody's telling these kids, because I see it way too much, how special they are. And they all have agents, or they have agents trying to sign them already, which to me is insane. But and college coaches, that's another great advantage. We have being in Orlando, it's easy to get to. The first day that coaches could come, we had 20, 25 coaches here. And at that point, we were all juniors. So they weren't even trying to sign people for that year, which is always their focus in October, November. But we had the head coaches from USC and BYU. I'm going to leave out a bunch of schools, but we've seen all of them. Right. We've had John Calipari here, all for 3 of our players at the same time in my office, which you were in earlier. Just an incredible hour-and-a-half experience with him, talking to him. Mark Pope, same thing, all our players at the same time. I had to tell him, he made the comment at the end that you can come be part of the greatest basketball environment in the country. And I go, well, top 3. He said, we'll just have to disagree. And Coach Peavy goes, you don't think you're top 3? And so then I'm talking to Coach Pope as we leave, and he tells me that Dean Smith was also his idol.
Oh, that's nice.
But Mark Pope, great guy. Kentucky's had a little bit of a shaky year, I think, but I like him. If I didn't want every kid to go in UNC, I wouldn't be too sad.
You're a Carolina guy, huh?
I want them all.
Yeah.
There's no hidden secret here. I would love for them all to go to UNC because then it's just easier for me to keep pulling for UNC.
Right.
But they won't. I know that. We might get one. Who knows? But one might end up at Duke, and then I'm having to go to Cameron. And
oh, boy.
And so one quick story. We could kill this now. It'd just be a story. But and I first got to Duke as a freshman there. The first basketball game was Duke playing an exhibition against the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting in the front row, maybe 10 feet off center court with a bunch of other students. And I am openly pulling for the Soviet Union.
Oh, come on, man. You serious?
Yeah, it was before I ever knew Ron DeBricky at all and some of the other players.
Oh,
I had no connection.
That is bad.
It's right after a Duke UNC football.
How can you hate them that much?
I don't know that I love UNC. I love Dean Smith. I love Roy Williams. Cole Anthony took me there for their alumni game summer before last, and I got to spend time with Roy and spend a lot of time with Hubert, and now I've spent a lot more time with him as he continues to recruit our kids. But I love, do you pull for UNC in this sport or that sport? People ask me, I said, if there's a backgammon team, I'm pulling for UNC.
Unbelievable.
It doesn't matter. I'm pulling for UNC. And I never went to college there. I'm Duke and some other schools, but never to UNC. But I can't say how much I respect what Dean Smith did.
Yeah, Dean Smith was a
for everyone, not just for basketball. Just an amazing human being. And so, yeah, I love UNC, which means their most hated rival is my most hated rival.
Well, they say if God isn't a Carolina fan, then why is the sky
Carolina blue?
Carolina blue, man. So
I give state players a hard time too. Dennis Smith, who played at state, I didn't know him at all, but sitting where I sit, I talked to a lot of the players. It's usually something nice. But I said to him, man, I really wish you had gone to Carolina. And he's going to hate me for saying this, because me too, because they won the national title that year. And he goes, we have a saying, and I knew what he was going to say, which is ABC, anybody but Carolina. And we talked just a little bit. I mean, this is basically during the game.
Right.
So the next time he comes to town, my dad's with me. He comes over as the game is starting to introduce himself to my dad and saying, just a class guy who I would have always hated because not hated. Because I've gotten to the point now I don't hate him. But I would have always pulled against him. And now I'm like, yeah, that's a really good guy. I hope he does well. Paolo, I got invited to a special signing with Paolo, and I brought this kid that I know, who was like 10 or 11 at the time, to get a jersey signed by Paolo. And he says for me, he goes, I'm tired of you wearing all that UNC stuff. I'm going to get you a Duke shirt.
Paolo said this.
Yeah, and I go, I got plenty of Duke shirts from when I went to school there. He goes, you went to school at Duke? And I go, yeah. He goes, I don't believe you. And I go, ask Wendell. He knows. And he goes, I don't. And you're a North Carolina fan? And I get that a lot. To anybody I tell that story to, it's like, how did that happen? Like, I started out as a UNC fan. I just happened to spend a little bit of time at Duke. I never became a Duke fan. I like some of the players I got to know and meet there. And I didn't like some of the players I get to meet and know there. But yeah, I still have strong feelings about Duke, but with Wendell on the team, and Wendell is an amazing person. Wendell's parents are amazing people. I think Wendell wishes he had gone to Harvard. Duke maybe, but I love him. Paolo, I have great respect for Paolo. I don't hold the fact that somebody made the wrong college choice, and he won't agree with that. He's Duke through and through. And we've had a lot of other players here from Duke over the years, and I've met some on other teams. And other than Grayson, for the most part, I like them. And he might be okay. Hard to picture. So, but now, one great thing about this is now, I can text Raymond Felton right now, and he'll text me back, and I can call or text Sean May or Hubert, and a lot of other Carolina players, Pete Chilka, Joel Berry, that I know because of this school now, and for no other reason than this school. And when I met Shire, he came in, go Heels. Dude does not have a great sense of humor.
He didn't appreciate that?
I think maybe he did a little bit, but he couldn't show it. And he's also at the John Wall tournament in North Carolina watching our kids play. And a kid came up in a Carolina sweatshirt and wanted a picture with him. And he said no.
Wow.
He did it. He was just being funny with the kid. And he's like, no. But he did it. And he's a good guy. I could see myself becoming more and more respectful of the Duke program and what they do.
It only took 50, 60 years or however old you are, right? Yeah.
I pulled for them. This will show how old I am. When they played Kentucky in the championship and Jack Givens went crazy and Kentucky won. I was pulling for Duke.
That's 1978.
I was pulling for Duke. I was a big fan of Mike Jaminski.
Mike Jaminski.
It's all part of the academic thing.
Yeah.
Mike Jaminski was an amazing student and played his first game at Duke when he was 16 years old.
Is that right?
I might be wrong about that. I'm sure somebody watching this will correct me, but I think he was still 16 when he played his first game. Great student. Good announcer now. But I liked Mike Jaminski and Banks and Spinarkle and Bender and Denard, right?
Yeah, Bob Bender, Kenny Denard, yeah, Jim Spinarkle, right, right. And they went into the teams that I said that I grew up with, Johnny Dawkins and Mark. That was the end of the Bill Foster era.
One of the two Bill Fosters, but Duke's Bill Foster. That was the end of that era. Then when Coach came in, I think the first good player he inherited was Vince Hamilton. And I think Vince, really good 6'4" jump shooter offensive.
I mean, Gene Banks was still there when Coach K came, but Coach K's first recruiting class is Johnny Dawkins, Mark Allery, David Henderson, Jay Billis. I think that's his first. Oh, so third class? Okay. Well, that is better.
It was a great class. It's a class that changed everything at Duke, and he just kept building on it from there. So, and he did a great job coaching those guys.
We're going to have to, I think we're just gonna have to get you into some sort of therapy or something. Like
I could use a lot of things.
yeah, no. I don't care about the rest of your life. Just this Duke thing. We gotta squeeze this out of you. I mean, because you're just such a great guy otherwise. But like this Duke thing, I think just
Red Sox fan.
yeah. Just you can keep the Red Sox, but I think we gotta squeeze this Duke stuff out of you. Anyway, man, I think it's totally cool how you, like I said, starting as a 5-year-old and rooting for Carolina, and you talked about Sam Perkins and all these guys, and come full circle where we're able to run a program like this and to give back to kids and give back to a community and to build something both on the sports and the academic side of things is really cool. And I appreciate you taking the time to share that with us today. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Hank. Thanks so much. All right, there you go. And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Thanks so much for watching. And since you made it this far, do me a solid. Hit the subscribe button down below, leave a review, send the episode to a buddy who you think would enjoy it. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.